I'd like to say there's no flies on you, but there was one buzzing around you,
Oh.
particularly when you were doing that Facebook check.
Yeah.
I don't know why that would be. I thought, I mean, thank you, Jay, as well. The internet will win. Yeah, absolutely. So kind of covered a whole lot of ideas very succinctly that I guess so many of us in this room believe in. But I thought tonight I might just quickly talk about this evening being a celebration and an opportunity to thank people. And a celebration is kind of like it's 2 years since we've run these awards. Last year we decided to suspend them for a year, mainly because so many people in our community were involved in running the excellent linux.conf.au event that took place in Wellington. You can, yeah. So there's quite a lot to catch up on in 2 years, and I think Jay's touched on a few things. I think one of the things to look at is, you know, it's almost the flagship poster boy of the open source community is Linux, has been for a long time, since '91. Linux now dominates the server room, as the Red Hat guys over there will tell you. Thank you, Red Hat. Linux dominates the supercomputer world, as you know, has about a 99.99% market share of the supercomputer world. Linux also, at the other end of the spectrum, dominates the smartphone world. The most sales and the most successful Linux distribution in the world right now is Android. And in the US, that's taking nearly 50% of market share, which is an incredible change if you think about it. If you think about the opportunities for this sort of software in a space that people have always said it'll never take off, it'll never be good in the user space, Linux is dominating in that space. It's where there was an opportunity, where there was a lack of competition and a lack of monopolistic tie-in. That's a huge thing. There's been a lot of talk about the subsidy for the Hobbit movie in the last few weeks. I don't mind if that subsidy helps the tourism industry, but that's low value. The industry in New Zealand that will really benefit from that is the technology industry, which is high value, high net worth. And the Hobbit digitalization, all the work that Weta Workshop will be doing on that film will be done on an open source stack, using open source rendering tools and using Linux at the core of the computers that they use. And that's amazing. That's just simply staggering. I think just moving on a little bit, there's also sort of a lot of initiatives taking place in the public sector. I'd like to welcome Paul Seiler and the Ministry of Education, who have taken a whole table for this event. And we're going to hear later on from Mark Osborne a little bit about what's happening in education circles. But I'm lucky to be part of a mailing list run by educators who use technology in the classroom to improve educational outcomes. And one of the things that always strikes me is how the educators that are using technology that don't put artificial limits on what they can do with that technology are the ones that are doing interesting things beyond technology, the ones that are thinking of different ways of teaching our children and getting New Zealand to be a better educated, broader society. And that's fascinating stuff. So it's welcome to the Ministry of Education folks here, and seeing some of the stuff that's happening in that space is really exciting. And again, something that just seems to have hit a tipping point in the last 2 years and just is really taking off here. Jay mentioned the topic of software patents. My take on that is that a lot of people in this room took time to talk to politicians like Claire Curran here, particularly took time to present to the Commerce Select Committee, and there was an excellent chair of that committee, Leanne Dalzell, who asked amazingly pertinent and difficult questions. It was a terrifying ordeal for some of us. But I think if there's anything we should do in this room tonight, it would be to ask Claire to take our thanks back to Leanne and back to the Commerce Select Committee for seeing that patents had such an impact, not just on open source software, but on the software industry in general. So I'd like us all to give a round of applause for that. And what transpired, of course, as the multinationals came in after that Commerce Select Committee report to lobby hard against it was that the entire New Zealand technical industry waded in against software patents. So I'd like to thank Internet New Zealand for being staunch in that. Come on, this is a big deal. I'd like to thank the New Zealand Computer Society as well, for they polled all their members, and 80% of their members said, no, we don't want software patents. So thank you, New Zealand Computer Society. Is Don Robertson here? Is Don Robertson here? No, okay, so I thought he was here tonight. New Zealand Software Association, our largest exporters, Orion Health and Jade Software, both were instrumental and vocal in their opposition to software patents. So New Zealand has, in the last 2 years, become a place where people know that they can come to develop software with less threats and less opportunities for third parties to take part in extortion. So that's been a big change. There's been big opportunities taking place as well. You know, the government is looking hard right now, and the government sector looking hard right now at how to change the way they procure systems, change the way they spend money. And there's all sorts of projects going on in government that we have the opportunity right now to influence, and I mean we in this room, we in the technology sector, and we in the open source community. And if we don't seize that chance, and if we don't persuade these people that New Zealand should do what the UK, what Denmark, what Brazil, what Holland, what France, and a whole lot of other countries are doing, then we will have failed to see our country get the leap ahead that those countries are looking for by using far more free and open source software. And the same leap ahead that is proven by companies like Google, Facebook, Amazon, and so on. So that's our challenge and our opportunity going forward. Mark's done a great job that I was going to do of thanking fellow sponsors, so I won't necessarily repeat that, but another round of applause for all the sponsors would be in order. And I'll just finish off by introducing my fellow judges. There were nearly 100 nominations this year, which is similar to previous years, in 8 different categories. It's not an easy job pouring through those, and then 1 deciding on finalists, and then on 2 deciding on winners. And I think there was probably more diversity than I've ever seen before in a judging panel on kind of, you know, where people put different things. So it was a difficult thing to do. But I'd like to thank the judges, and I'd just like to introduce them to you. We have Amber Craig, who is a technologist, interested in gadgets, geeks, runs Girl Geeks Dinner, a crafter, and one of Telecom's leading mobile engineers. So Amber, thank you very much for your input to the process. We've got Rachel Hamilton-Williams, who's who's been involved in free software for longer than most people. As GM of Katapo, her company was responsible for releasing Koha, the library management system that's gone worldwide in the year 2000, developed for Levin Public Library. She has thankfully taken over as president of the New Zealand Open Source Society, so I'd like to thank Rachel. David Farrar. David is one of the visionaries, I guess, behind Internet New Zealand. So all that stuff that Jay was talking about, open and uncapturable, David is one of the people that really had that vision and helped drive it through and made sure it was sustained. Obviously, blogger, Kiwi blogger of long standing, and occasional shit stirrer. So thank you very much, David, for your contributions. Dave Moskovich, fellow judge. Some people in this room know him as a founder of the web, but he's an angel investor. He's a Linux guru, and all-round good chap. Player of strange musical instruments as well. Richard Wiles, director of Flexible Learning Network, now Kineo Pacific, and one of the visionaries behind the use of open source software in education to deliver online education experiences in New Zealand and worldwide, and he's ably led developments on the open source platform Moodle and also on the Mahara project, which is an e-portfolio system, again, which is receiving thousands of downloads every month, used globally, and a very successful New Zealand project. And finally, Nat Talkington. Does it? Yeah. Do we need to say anything more? Nat Talkington, founder of FooCamp, used to work for O'Reilly Publishers, organised OzCon for many years, thankfully back in New Zealand, driving force really behind, along with Rob, behind the open data movement now in New Zealand, and really trying to shake up how we access government data in New Zealand. So again, I'll just say a round of applause for the judges. That'd be great. And I said finally, you don't get off that lightly. Finally, I do need to say something about Catalyst. We are passionate about free software, obviously. It's our essence. It makes us what we are. We are so a little bit like Jay for two reasons. One is pragmatic, and the other is philosophical. I won't go into them just now. We like New Zealand. We think New Zealand is a place where people just get stuff done. They don't sit around and wait for other people to let them do stuff. And we'd like to keep things that way. So, thank you.